morning. Thank you for joining us. Today's the October edition of our second Wednesday safety session. I want to thank you all for joining us today. Hey, Milwaukee guys, stop talking. We hear everything on camera, man. So it's okay. It's their party today, actually, so they can talk. They can talk. My name's Carlos Carrillo. I'm the executive director of the South Florida chapter of the Associated General Contractors of America. I want to thank you all for joining us. Our safety sessions have been going on now, I believe, for over 20 years. 20 years, Gonzalo, at least 30. Okay, wow. So I want to thank you all for making this a reality. It's really great to have a place for the safety community to come together, especially when we're facing a challenge like Miami-Dade County's heat standard, which I'll be discussing a little bit later. I want to start off by thanking our sponsors today, Universal Engineering, for providing us with breakfast. I want to thank Kelly Cronenberg for having us here in person. Fantastic. They gave us a fantastic place for us to conduct our meetings, for us to have people like Cedric Alexander, who's here helping us out with our technology. So if not for the help of Kelly Cronenberg, we wouldn't look as good or be able to provide you such high production values as we do at our safety sessions. And I also want to thank our title sponsors today. Actually, our title sponsors every safety session, Milwaukee. They're very invested in the safety of our employees. And I'm grateful to them. They were a title sponsor of our safety fair, where, as I mentioned earlier, we gave out over 200 safety certificates, making all our construction sites safer, which is important. And I also want to thank them for being the title sponsor of our safety sessions. So obviously today we're going to be talking about the hard hats to helmets trend, why it's important. I think I read an interesting statistic that said 27% of all job site fatalities were due to head trauma. And it makes sense, right? Because the number one and number two causes of injuries on job sites are falls, and number two are struck bys, right? So it absolutely makes sense that this is an important topic for us to be discussing today. So if you're here to hear about what's going on with the heat safety issue, stick around and be educated. We have this very cool contraption here that I'm excited to see put into action. Talking from Milwaukee today, or speaking as this topic, is Mr. Juan, aka Jay Fonseca. Mr. Fonseca, come on up and join us.
Good morning,
you can clap now. Yeah, let's go.
Well, good morning, everyone. Are we good?
We're good. We're ready.
Good. Well, on behalf of Milwaukee Agency, we're super excited, super pumped to be a part of this opportunity. My name is Jay Fonseca. I am the safety specialist for Milwaukee too. I work with all the reps you see here in the room, and I cover the Southeast United States. So from Arkansas down to Florida, I'm tasked with, being a safety resources, not only to our team, but to you all in the field. I've done similar trainings like this for Agency of Atlanta, Agency of Baton Rouge. We've had great responses from both branches, and I expect, the same here. My goal here is number one, explain the why. As Carlos mentioned, there's a trend of going from hard hats to helmets, and we do know that that's a big change that a lot of you guys are faced with. And my goal today is to educate you all on number one, why the change, show some of the data that backs up, why big contractors are making this change, and then ultimately show you what Milwaukee's bringing to the table to not only invest in your people, but really drive that innovation that Milwaukee's been known for throughout the industry. With that being said, we'll dive right into the presentation here. Give me a hard hat, Jared. So what you see here on the screen, right, is the hard hat that we know it as today. You see in 1919, they pretty much boiled leather, wrapped around the head, and that was considered head protection. Moving into the 1930s, we had the biggest innovation in the world. We made it out of aluminum. If any of you guys come around concrete, that's not really the best solution. So that didn't last too long. In 1960, we came out with the polycarbonate hard hat. In 1960 is when what was brought to the table is what you guys are currently using today, similar to what I have in my hand. This helmet and the one I have on that mock-up there haven't changed much. It's a simple plastic shell. It's a simple suspension system, and that's what we call head protection as we know it today. As we all know, throughout life, change is inevitable. If you look at football, right? If anyone here is a Dolphins fan, I won't bring up the Hurricanes. It's been a tough week for you guys. If you look at hard hats, right? The football players aren't wearing leather helmets. Why? Why aren't they wearing leather helmets? There you go. That's one of the reasons. Well, we have data, right? We know that it's a real contact sport, so they're investing a lot more protection in their head protection. If you look at a truck, from the 1960s, a truck that you buy today, a truck in the 1960s is going to have, you know, a rear view camera. It's not going to have, you know, lane assist. It's not going to have a lot of these safety features that are standard today. Again, why? Because we have the data that shows that these features, number one, save lives and keep guys, you know, up and running. So the same trend you see throughout the industries, whether it be football, cars, technology, things are getting safer, and helmets is the next phase of that transition as well. Diving a little bit to the data, Carlos kind of talked on this a little bit, right? Slips, trips, and falls are one of the number one hazards on job sites. What we've seen too is a lot of the falls that do occur aren't from a second story, aren't from a third story. They're same level falls. What that means is a traditional hard hat has a high chance of falling off, and the helmet's going to better protect their employees. Something that we want to touch on as well is TBI, traumatic brain injuries. Unlike a hand, unlike an ankle or any an extremity of your body, a brain can't be healed, right? There is no, you know, if you sprain an ankle, you know, ice, you want to incline it, compression, elevate to heal that. There is no method for, you know, a brain injury. Brain injuries, when they do occur, are very serious. As you can see with football players now, it's a big topic of discussion. Unfortunately, when it comes to brains, we don't have any way of evaluating it now. Just looking at simple as concussions, we don't know if someone has, you know, CTE until after they pass away, and then we examine the brain. There's no way of doing it while they're alive. That may change in the future, but as of right now, we have no way of analyzing, you know, when something like that were to happen. So again, we require, you know, a lot of the workers to wear steel toe boots. A lot of the workers to wear cut level gloves. When it comes to helmets, we're settling for a standard hard hat, and we're seeing that change happen, where a lot of, you know, contractors across the country are seeing that investment to better protect their workers. I can live a normal life with, you know, with 4 fingers, pretty relatively normal. Where if I have a TBI, that chance of living that normal life really goes out the window. It could be very severe, and that's what we're here today to educate you guys on, and hopefully show you guys the why, right? So just to sum it up, hard hats versus helmets, what's the difference? What I have in my hand here is a traditional hard hat. This was designed originally to protect just from the crown of the helmet, the top. So when it comes to protect the top, this checks the ball. This checks the bill here. It works for that. What we've seen though is that the chances of something falling directly on your head, or someone falling directly like this, is pretty slim. So that's where you see a big implement to the helmet. Again, it does not stay on because there is no chin strap. It's available in front brim like I have here, a full brim like most of you guys have seen, Class C or Class E. So you do see a little bit of the evaluation there. Jared, can I see that helmet, please? What you see here is the Milwaukee helmet. Now, where this differs from a traditional hard hat, this does offer the top protection, but based on the research that we've seen, again, the slips, trips, and falls, the impacts to the front, left, and back, this provides 360 protection. Not only that, it also offers the chin strap. So what that does is that if the worker falls, if he slips, the helmet's going to stay in place. It's going to keep that worker safe versus this where it could fall off and then create that hazard. This will more or less address that hazard head on. We've seen instances of this actually coming into effect. I was on a job site in Atlanta. Wasn't even a craft worker on site. It was a guy that goes around, you know, kind of clean up the site, make sure it's maintained. He went up on the lift, actually got vertigo, tipped over. Paramedics said if he didn't have a Milwaukee helmet on his head or any helmet, it could have been a lot worse than it was. He literally went up 11 stories, got vertigo, tipped over. Traditional hard hat would have fell right off. He could have damaged the back of his head. Could have been a lot worse than it was. This here, a helmet like this offers that 360 protection. Landed right in the back of his head, protected his head with a 360 protection that a traditional helmet offers. So that's the type of stuff that we're seeing, and that we're hoping that you guys are aware of that can protect. Same as a hard hat, it comes in front brim or no brim. We offer it in Class C, vented or non-vented, Class E. So we check that as well. And then I'll dive into some of the standards that you guys might see out on sites that may be a majority of your questions. So ANSI standards, these are the North American standards. This is what we rely on to get our compliance. You look at type 1, type 2, kind of see here on the diagram, type 1 is made to protect just the top. Type 2 is going to offer 360 protection. We're going to see 3 classes of standards. Class G, which is general vented, Class E or Class C. We do not offer Class G. We do not see that as a major trend in the industry. So we offer Class C or Class E. One of the big things that you'll see too, there's a lot of there's a lot of clauses and classifications out there. So we want to do our best job to clear the air and understand what you guys are seeing. So when it comes to ANSI, we're fully type 2, 100% type 2. You'll see a lot of other manufacturers or even some contractors rely on the EN 12492 clauses. We address a lot of those clauses as well. So we offer the 360 protection, the chin strap obviously as well. It's going to protect that. So we do check a lot of the 12492 options. If someone is looking for 100% EN 12492, we'll have an answer for that in a few months. So type 2 out the gate, EN 142, we check 80% of those boxes, actually 90% of those boxes. So that's something to be aware of. If you guys have any questions after, by all means, reach out or pull me to the side. We can definitely address that. Who uses helmets? Who needs to protect their head? Anyone on a job site. So contractors, subs, anyone that's on a job site, guys that deliver the material to the job site, anyone that's at risk of something falling or inherent slips, trips, and falls needs to have their head protection. So everyone is a user that can benefit from something like this. Again, just to summarize, we offer a front brim, we offer no brim, we offer Class C or Class E. We have 8 colors available, right? White, black, all the common colors. So whether you have a color on here or where you have a custom color, we have a way of kind of sorting that out and working with you guys. I'll spend a little bit of time on this slide here. Made in America, that's something that we've invested heavily in. Every single Milwaukee helmet that you see or hard hat comes out of our McGuanago facility. We got a free knife, anyone that can spell that after the presentation. What that means for you guys is we're vertically integrated. So quicker turn times, better quality. So we're able to get you the product quicker and a better product off the shelf because we control the whole process from the molding to the suspension to the shipping, you name it. We invest all of that. Again, we're going to talk a little bit about the innovation that we're bringing to the helmet. Addressing all the type 2s, standards while offering that protection, but also going above and beyond what you guys have out in the field already, and then addressing a lot of those pain points that you guys see in the field. I'm gonna pass it over to Jared here, who's your local territory manager, who's gonna discuss some of the innovations that we brought into the helmets as well.
Thanks, Jay. Hi, guys. Again, I think I see a lot of familiar faces in the room. I'm the GC and concrete rep for Milwaukee. I probably been on a ton of your job sites, so I'm really excited to be here to talk a little bit more in depth on some of the helmets that we have. So one reason I kind of mentioned again that I see you guys out on the job site is because we at Milwaukee like to partner with you guys and your workers on the ground level to really find out what your pain points are and how we can better innovate our products to ultimately bring better solutions to the market. So on the screen behind you, there's a few different user frustrations that we had seen in kind of the product process of having these things come to life. Things that we addressed and kind of how we went about solving those issues. So some of the things, the user frustrations that we saw in the field was that users needed greater side of the head protection. Like Jay had mentioned, it was really like traditional hats were only made for top collisions, but these are going to be full 360 protection, and that is basically what helps us get our ANSI certification as well, having all this additional padding inside of the helmets. Another user frustration was that users needed to kind of modify their helmets to use multiple PPE things and other accessories such as headlamps, visors, sunshades. We're able to have 4 different spots on our Type 2 helmets for bolt attachments, and then 2 universal slots that can accommodate anything from, like I mentioned, lights, earmuffs, sun visors, face shields, you name it. We have a few catalogs over on our table today. More than happy to share with you guys some of the different things and the examples that we have. But again, none of this can come without working with you guys on the ground level at your job sites, really understanding what your needs are. And then lastly, helmet suspensions. They're just like uncomfortable and hot. What we've done in Milwaukee is just create comfortable padded suspensions, moisture wicking, antimicrobial sweatbands and liners that are also replaceable. Obviously, like these guys are getting hot on the job site, sweating. They don't want skin breaking out, being, unhealthy, dirty, something like that. So the materials used are just high quality and we're able to replace them if needed.
Which is another benefit as well for the topic of turnover, right? So it's an investment to make if guys aren't in the field long. You don't want to have just that investment go to waste. Everything that comes in contact with the worker, whether it be the chin strap, the ratchet suspension, the sweatband can all be replaced. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Everything in there can be refreshed based on if a guy's going to a new job site or you have some quick turnover and need to turn that helmet around. You can replace everything that comes in contact with that worker to make sure that you save a little bit on that investment as well. That's something we work really hard on.
Awesome. Now this is kind of just like a one slider to summarize a lot of the different things that Jay and I mentioned already, but overall these type 2 helmets, they're just going to be better protection, overall more comfort for your guys that are wearing them all day on the job site. Again, protects not just the top, full 360, and then they're able to adapt to your job site. Like I mentioned, all the different accessories that we have really help not just secure your investment in these hard hats, but secure your guys' safety, no matter what the job is that they're doing on your sites. Super comfortable, padded fit. We can pass these around so you guys can get your hands on them, really get a feel for yourself, the difference in overall quality and features. I think that's really going to help sell this, guys, for you. But yeah, and then like Jay just mentioned, we have all the replacement parts, really protecting your investment here. Obviously, these are going to be a more significant cost compared to your basic hard hats. So being able to have these replacement liners and parts that are going to help save your investment in the long run instead of having to replace a whole new helmet. You can just replace the pieces that come into direct contact.
Yeah, we have a question. Is it like the helmet itself still the 4-year lifespan?
So our helmets actually have a 10-year shelf life, and we see a 5-year usage life. But we do back it with a limited lifetime warranty. What that does, that covers any defects, any issues of quality that may arise. We'll address that head on. But 5 years in the field, and this is one of those topics where it really falls on you guys to enforce the standards of your helmet. So obviously quality check. We advise no stickers just because guys cover up cracks and things like that. So that's something that we see a lot of. Everyone loves outfitting their helmets, but as a manufacturer, kind of worries us sometimes because it could be an incident where there's a crack and they cover that up. The only stickers that we straight up say do not put on here are going to be dielectric stickers, those reflective ones. Only when it comes to Class C, because that couldn't compromise that Class C standard, and that's universal. Everyone kind of says that. Other than that,
What are you gonna do? Go off style, go off the tier? What? Building and stick.
So it's clearly a better product, right? So the way they transitioned out of the other helmets, do you see a transition coming where they'll completely go to the new standard of protection and do away with the old? It's gonna come to cost. I mean,
Yeah.
not that it should, but it will.
yeah, and I mean changes again, like I've in the in the earlier presentation, I said changes is always something that's coming. And if it's being widespread, that'd be a huge undertaking. I have heard rumblings of more of a mandate type. Again, that's gonna be a whole nother undertaking. That's gonna be pretty drastic. As of now, we are seeing some of the large players in the industry, the Turners, the Gilbanes, going this route and requiring their substitute. So we do see that trickling out, but as far as 100% widespread, that's some time out, and I don't think that's something that we can probably say to be 100% widespread today. But with that being said, a lot of the leaders in the industry, a lot of the national players are going towards this. A lot of the subs are required to, so it is spreading, and they are seeing that trend. Yeah.
Hey, question, what's your price point of your helmets? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, so something here at Milwaukee, we don't sell direct. We work with manufacturers, with distributors throughout. One thing I can confidently say though, as you guys as AGC members, you guys get a national discount. So what that means is any other contractor would walk into a Home Depot, for example, they would have to buy a certain quantity to get a discount. You guys at AGC get a discount, that discount up front.
Right.
So just reach out to one of us. We can get you whoever you buy from normally. We can work with them and figure out the best way to support you guys.
That's the problem. I started wearing those helmets about 4 years ago with a competitor.
Yep.
Price was $220. No company or worker is gonna,
Yeah.
drop that kind of money.
No, yeah.
right now, we're in a paradigm mind shift with that, where, you know, a lot of GCs like Clark, and I think a GCs now is positioning to from the hard hat to a helmet, which I love, by the way. Under Clark, turn it to the company, and I love that the helmet. But, you know, it's gonna be a little bit of a buy-in, you know, with time, again, paradigm mind shift of the current hard hat to the helmet. They just keep working on a price point, and I think it's easier for transition.
Yeah, I mean, again, the one resource that I can kind of, you know, touch on and rely on as well is reach out to these guys. They'll work with that distributor, make sure that you guys get every single price cut that we can offer. And if that number is accurate at 220, like, we're nowhere near that, so we're confident in that at least.
That's good, yeah.
How often do you have to change the suspension?
So we advise 1 year every time, but again, it varies based on the contract that they kind of implement now.
So you're telling me that the helmet weathering can take an impact on the side, where that helmet can't?
Yeah, we actually got a little demo here, that's a drastic demo, right? But we're not even gonna push it to the side because we know that won't work. We're gonna do it to the top where this is rated for compared to ours. You kind of see the difference in some of the protection that's being offered. So it's a drastic demo, but it's an eye opener to kind of see. Any questions before we move on?
Maybe you can put a logo on.
Yeah, you can. So we do all our logo in-house, digital printer, no setup fees. And then again, quickest turn time in the industry, we're looking at 2 to 3 weeks. If you guys need samples, reach out to one of us afterwards. We can definitely work with you guys, understand what you guys need and how we can help.
You know where OSHA's standing right now?
I do know some markets in OSHA have gotten some logo to one of these, just kind of, you know, raise awareness of it. As far as their thought process on a mandate, I'm not sure where they're at on that. Again, I see that being pretty far out because, as you guys mentioned, right, pretty expensive. That's a big standard to push out. This is just a straightforward layout of the current, you know, what's available, right? My goal, I mean, as a safety specialist, for everyone to be in a helmet, whether it be ours, whether it be a competitor, I think we do make the best solution out there, but we kind of want to just lay out what's available for you guys in the industry. Do your research. Every manufacturer should be able to answer all your questions. I challenge you guys all when you do make this decision to, you know, challenge those guys, challenge us, you know, address all the concerns, figure out, you know, where we kind of fit in the grand scheme of things. But this is something that, you know, that we want to bring to the table as well and kind of share with you guys.
If I put stickers on that, does it void your warranty?
No. The big thing too, again, is it's really those dielectric stickers, and that's everyone kind of has that in their warranty or their, you know, their information that can compromise Class E. When it comes to Class C, the Benson ones, it really doesn't matter because they're not, you know, rated for that anyways. We actually have it here, but we're actually gonna do it live, so you guys can kind of see. All right, so what we're gonna do here, we call this our drop test. I just want to preface this by saying this is an extreme test. Regardless of what you're wearing, if you're wearing one of these and this happens to you, you're gonna be pretty much SOL, right? But this test is extreme to show, number one, the durability of our helmets, and then kind of show how a traditional hard hat stands up to this type of blunt force. So Jake, you want to kind of take the wheel on? I can put this way. Okay, sure. So what we have here is we have a 20-pound weight. We're gonna raise it up about 6.5 feet, and then we're gonna just let it free fall on a traditional hard hat.
Put a watermelon in that.
Yeah, you got a watermelon?
That's something.
20 pounds.
20 pounds at just about 6.5 feet. 3, 2,
6.5.
1.
You're not 6.5. feet.
Top of the weight.
I'll check that report.
Yeah, please.
So you'll see here the pretty significant dent. I'm gonna pass this around to the group so you guys can kind of get an idea of what it is. Essentially what a traditional hard hat is, just a strap suspension and about 2 inches of air. So you kind of see how it holds up to something like that. So now what we're gonna do is put a traditional Milwaukee helmet. You guys in the room, I just took it out of the packaging. I promise there's no tricks going on here. So pull it right out. We're gonna do the same test, set this thing up. Jake's gonna do his magic.
3, 2, 1.
what you'll see, aside from a little rusty blemish on the top, the shell is still intact. Gonna just show a little bit more of the durability of the shell itself. We use a special proprietary blend. It's a little bit more durable than what's out there. If you look inside of it, you will see the suspension itself. The padding itself has cracked. Again, we want to replace this when that does happen. But again, it just shows a little bit of the durability that we put into our helmets compared to what was the hard hat that you just saw. So it'll give you a little bit better protection out on that site.
So we transitioned to these hard hats about a couple of years ago, right? But one of the challenges I'm having is guys keeping the strap on.
Yep.
If they remove the strap, or at that point, are we now not compliant with any answer with the standards?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the question was, if a chin strap is removed from the helmet, is it still compliant? The answer is no. The compliance is the whole system. The compliance is the protection as well as the chin strap, because as I mentioned early on, slips, trips, and falls. If you fall, no matter how far you ratchet that down, there's a chance that it can come off. The whole system is a chin strap. Now, somebody's gonna ask, if I put a chin strap on a hard hat, does that make it compliant? Again, no, it's the system. It's only gonna protect the top, it's gonna keep it from falling off, but you're still losing that side protection. So the helmet itself with Milwaukee, with any manufacturer, it's you gotta have the chin strap on, you gotta have it strapped down snugly, because every test that we do, whether it be the chin strap to pull it off, or whether it be the test, it only passes the test if the helmet itself stays on the model and doesn't come off, it protects it, right? So it's the whole system. So if you got a user that has that, but has a beard and doesn't want to wear the chin strap, unfortunately, he's not gonna be covered. So where somewhere to happen, you're really just not using it properly. It's like, having a car riding with the doors open, like you're not doing it the right way, right? It's the whole system. This is a Jeep. That's a whole. One of the questions that comes up is heat. How do these compare to a traditional hard hat? You don't want your guys, obviously, the guys want to be comfortable. Compliance is the biggest thing. If guys aren't comfortable, they're not going to wear it. That was a big, emphasis on us when we came to market, is we want to make them as comfortable as possible. So what you'll see is some tests that we've conducted in-house, and we've done these third party as well. That kind of shows, number one, they don't get as hot. And number two is when they get hot, they drop a lot quicker. The reason that is a lot of our suspension, none of it's blocked by the vents. Same holds true with a Class E, obviously not as drastic. What that does is it keeps it a lot cooler, allows a lot more airflow to the actual head. So again, guys are more compliant versus sweating up on a job site. We'll do a brief video here that kind of shows the advancements that we made in accessories. We know that's a big focal point with your contractors, right? They're on site, they need to wear face shields, they need to wear eye visors, they need to wear ear protection. We really wanted to innovate in that space, make it as simple as possible. As Jared mentioned, we've seen guys, zip tie, super glue, you name it, attachments to their helmets. We kind of want to put that in the past. The cool thing here is what you see now. 5 years from now, we're probably gonna be triple that. We're continuing to advance in that space. What kind of thing? Yeah. I would imagine that. Yeah. I got it.
Here, that's where you get the impact of that.
Yeah. So again, just to kind of summarize what we have readily available, we'll continue to expand this offering. So one of the big things that we do is, product research. If you guys have a need for application you guys are doing, and if we're something that we're in the pipeline of coming out with, we love to get feedback. Everything that we do is we use the feedback in mind. Every crevice, every angle you see on that helmet was with feedback in mind. So let us know how we can support, and we'll be more than happy to get you guys involved. Again, just kind of the accessory mind piece, no matter whether it's a helmet or a hard hat, we have 100% compatibility. Everything that we make is compatible. So we have a hard hat on some job sites, but then let's say you grab a job with a GC or someone that's requiring type 2s. You don't have to buy separate accessories for each one. You can have both without, again, having to double up on accessories and, again, protecting that investment. Topic that you guys brought up earlier, I'll wrap it up with this. We wanted to, reinvent the wheel here. You see here the little visualizer. Anyone can go online, upload their logo in real time, see what it looks like. Get a mock-up what we call. That's everything you need to get an order done with the part number, the configurator, everything you need to get going. 2 to 3 week turn time. We do it all in-house, so our goal is to, again, simplify the process and help you guys be safer, more productive in a better way. With that being said, I'll wrap it up with that.
What's the minimum now?
24. Cool. With that being said, we'll stick around if you guys have any questions afterwards, but certainly appreciate the time and thanks AGC for allowing us to talk to you guys this morning.
Yeah, these guys will be at the table. I'll have my cards. Like I said, I'm the local guy along with Jake here. Happy to come to your job sites, give this presentation at you at a more, intimate level, as well as just helping you guys through any kind of customization efforts or just overall education on these helmets. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
One last question. Foresee the price dropping drastically?
I do. Actually, I do. That's a great question. As competition comes up, right, that's good for everyone. Good for us. Good. It pushes us to get better. And it's good for you guys because obviously it's a little bit more of a need to get more competitive, right? So we are in the process of launching other solutions that are going to be more price driven. And then again, we don't sell direct, but as you guys put a bid out, there's more guys bidding for it. We do offer the same pricing again, and then those guys, it's up to them to give you guys the best value they can. So I'll say this, we are in line, actually better price than a lot of people out there, surprisingly. With Milwaukee, you think, it's the standard, the highest quality, obviously, but when it comes to the price point, we pretty much win in that category as well. So let us know how we can help there. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you very much, guys. We appreciate you being here. Hey, really quickly, something we've been talking about for a while has been Miami-Dade County's heat standards. For those of you who are unaware, which I don't know who that would be, but in July of this year, Miami-Dade County tried to pass a heat standard ordinance. 3-step process in Miami-Dade County. Has to go through the first vote of the county commission. It then goes to a committee and then goes to a final vote. Heat ordinance established a set of procedures that you all would have to follow as soon as set temperature triggers those things to come online, right? We covered it in detail. If you want to have a more detailed view of what exactly those are, you can take a look at our August safety session where I go through the entire ordinance in detail. Biggest problem, by the way, is the record collection portion of that, where you have to have information on every single employee that's on your job site, including anybody that's come onto into your office over the past 2 weeks. They have to receive special training, specific training before they come onto the job site. They have to sign an affidavit that we received that training and a bill of rights. And I'll get a heat bill of rights, and I'll get into that in a moment. Where we're at right now, the ordinance was coming to a final vote on October 17th. That was going to be this coming Tuesday. However, that vote has been delayed. We've put a lot of pressure on the sponsors of this ordinance and the other members of the commission. I think that we brought to light the fact that this ordinance was being pushed by some radical labor organizations whose intent wasn't the health and safety of their workers. Their intent was putting in place a Miami-Dade County Safety and Health Department to come onto your job sites, find you willy-nilly, and basically help Labor's International Union North America and SEIU, Service Employees International Union, start having a presence on your job sites. Give them a way to start recruiting on your job sites. The vote is now delayed to November 7th. And we're coming to ask for you all, the safety community, for your help. We'd like to ask you all to mark November 7th on your calendars. We'd like to ask you to come out and testify. We'd like for you within 2 minutes, because you're only going to have 2 minutes, to discuss the practices and policies that you put in place, but more importantly, the fact that you all care for your workforce. This organization that we're fighting has been out there saying that the construction industry and agriculture industry doesn't care for their workers, that your workers are withheld water on their job sites. And we all know that's absolutely ridiculous. There's no merit to that. We know the study that they've been pushing for this is really inaccurate, and the numbers they've been giving on deaths on this have also been inaccurate. The one death that they were talking to, unfortunately, the autopsy report came out and the gentleman had untreated diabetes, had cocaine in his blood system, and also had Narcan in his blood system. So at some point before his death, someone thought he was overdosing on opioids, right? So this is the house of cards on which their premise is built. And I'd like to ask you all to have a hand in stopping this ordinance from coming about. November 7th is the new date. Please mark it on your calendar. I'd love for you all to be there and testify, and let the Miami-Dade County Commission know that the construction industry does indeed care for their workers. I'd also like to ask for you all to call the commission offices. It's a really simple process. Staff member from the office is going to pick up. You basically tell them, hey, I'm so-and-so. I live in Miami-Dade County. I want to let you know that this ordinance sucks, that there's no need for this. And you can give a couple reasons real quick because they don't really want to talk to you. They just want to know how you want them to vote. And they're going to hang up the phone. If you don't live in Miami-Dade County, but you work in Miami-Dade County, your office has job sites in Miami-Dade County, you employ people in Miami-Dade County, you should let them know that as well. So I'd like to ask you all, an email went out. If you didn't receive this email yesterday, email has phone numbers for all of the Miami-Dade County Commission members. It has their email addresses. I'd like to ask you all to take 45 minutes from your day and call each one of those offices. Put together an email and send your email to each one of those offices. And very clearly on the subject line, you put vote no on Miami-Dade heat ordinance. Okay, make it clear. Heat ordinance sucks is also something which would be acceptable, right? And then you put your reason very briefly, because these folks aren't going to want to read 4 or 5 paragraphs, and send that out. I need all of you to do your part to help us out in this effort. Questions for me regarding the heat ordinance? Don't be shy.
Did they change that? See?
So what happened, there's no name for this department, right? So this department was, it was made very clear. If you read the ordinance, this ordinance was written by the labor organization, which we're fighting on this. So the labor organization that proposes pretty much wrote that ordinance. It's pretty clear. And it wasn't an error of omission. I think it was clearly omission by intent. That they said that they don't know they said they didn't know which department this was going to go to. There was no department named. And the reason there was no department named is because the mayor's office very clearly stated they would need to create a department to enforce this ordinance, right? I figured that was announced at the September 11th meeting of the committee in which we were meeting. And that should have been a very big game changer for the members of the county commission, for them to see that. So this department currently has no name, but the reality is they're going to be enforcing these heat standards. They'll in all likelihood get other things to enforce, because the goal is for them to just get on your job sites, right? The goal is for them to pressure subcontractors and contractors in our market. And honestly, the way that this was initially written, it was very open-ended. And what was going to be happening is that if a subcontractor was on your job site and not applying the procedures that were set forth in this ordinance, they weren't necessarily going to be responsible. So if there was no supervisor, that wasn't on the sub, that was on the GC. So obviously the person with the deeper pockets to pay these fines is going to be the general contractor. And in the original version, it was going to the general contractor. A substitute ordinance was offered, and in that substitute ordinance, it now goes to the subcontractor. But that group that we're fighting, they have a really good stranglehold on the media. So they put out a piece in the Miami Herald that basically said they were having a problem with the watered down version that came out. So I know that there's pressure now for them to go ahead and push that ordinance, and make it, and go back to the original version of what they had. So it's all the GCs that are in the room would probably end up being responsible for anything that goes on their job sites. Any other, did I answer your question? I'm sorry, I know I went off. Okay.
There's OSHA land on this as far as.
OSHA can't really take a position.
As far as referrals from the city or, you know.
Right now, they can't, they have to.
Well, Well, now these guys are walking on the job site and they're coming to the job site.
So,
They can be
well,
further.
they can, yes, you're correct. So here's another issue. There's no clear procedures set forth in this, right? So there's an absolute lack of clarity as to what's going on or how this would be enforced. Could they refer to OSHA? Absolutely. And I think that they would probably issue a fine and then issue a complaint to OSHA as well. I mean, and again, there's no clarity on this. This is just conjecture on my part, but I think it's pretty good conjecture. So some of you are aware Texas had a break ordinance, right? So it was every 4 hours there were supposed to be breaks given to employees for water. It was the exact same game plan that was used here in Miami-Dade County. A lot of theatrics, a study that this group themselves had produced in order to try and push this, right? And so that went into effect. And from the data that I saw, and I have a white paper on this, if you guys would like to see the white paper, I'm happy to share it with you. From the data we've seen, I think that there was a year that they had 35 calls. The majority of the calls were for non-union contractors. And of those calls, I think 20% were generated from union members on the non-union side to the non-union contractors. And it was pretty clear that that's what was going on, that it was basically just being used as a way to get inspectors on the job sites. And in fact, in Austin got a third party to enforce this, and the third party enforcement was a company that was created from former LIUNA members who were going on to the job sites. So, you know, hey, look, Miami-Dade County has a blue mayor. It is a mixed commission. It's our job to educate those commissioners on what's going on. And I like to think that they didn't have the full picture of what was going on. I think as they receive more and more information, their votes are changing. And that's partially the reason that we see this ordinance being pushed back to that November 7th date. But the fight continues, man. The fact that it's not dead and buried means that it's still out there. We need to keep fighting. I think that they should kill this ordinance. And if heat is a real issue that they want to confront, they need to figure out another way to do it. Maybe something similar to a Sunshine State Award or something like that. But creating another layer of enforcement is not going to work. And you all know the quality of that enforcement. It's going to be terrible. I mean, to have an inspector coming onto your job site, taking the temperature of everybody's water. Very important fact, and why I brought up the paperwork. Testing your water temperature, making sure you have 1 liter per person per hour worked per day. You know, all of these things are things that you all already do. It's going to be nitpicking. Oh, the temperature's 2 degrees over on the water. You know, that's a warning. Where's your whose tank is this? Who's doing this? What's this? And they're going to start getting more and more responsibilities to give this department a reason for existing. But what happened in Texas is that the year that there were 35 calls made out to on-site inspections, there were 11 violations given. All 11 violations given were for paperwork errors. So now the situation was like, hey, you don't have a signed affidavit for this guy. He told me he'd been on the job for a month. I need you to produce this guy's paperwork. You don't have his paperwork? Fine. You know, you don't have the paperwork for these guys? Fine. And you all know how difficult it is to manage a huge job site, right? You don't know necessarily what your subs are using. And now you're going to be responsible for those people and paying fines for the subs of your subs. It's going to be a big problem. And I think that we all need to confront this issue if we're going to get it stopped. I like the stunned silence. Every time I talk about this, people look at me like this is absolutely crazy, and it is. Any other questions? All right. Thank you all. Really no questions? All right, cool. You guys can catch me after this. If you have any questions, thank you to Milwaukee for joining us today. Ways that you can support the AGC and our efforts. Go onto our website. We have a page for the heat ordinance. Share it with people. Let people know what's going on, because you all are the 1% of the 1%. You all are plugged in. You come out to our safety meetings. You guys are engaged. Let other people know what's going on, because a lot of subs aren't aware of what's going on. A lot of other GCs aren't aware of what's going on. So tell them. You can support us by contributing directly to this effort. We have a link on that webpage. We call it our Industry Education Initiative. It's how we're paying for this effort. Our group and 6 other industry groups in construction and agriculture got together. We got a lobbyist, we got a PR firm. We're working together to stop this. So help us out. The other way you can help us is by coming out to our events. We have our golf tournament coming up on November 3rd. I still have a few foursomes left. If you like to golf, come on out. If you like to drink, get a foursome and come on out anyways, because nobody's going to care how you're golfing. And we also have our member cocktail November 2nd. That's for the top 2 executives from your firms. So make sure your company is aware of that member cocktail. It's free to AGC members. And the golf tournament going on November 3rd. By the way, awards, our award program is on February 16th at the Hard Rock. Submission page is open. If you got some badass projects you completed this year, submit them for an award. We have a lot of members in Orlando. We changed our themed entertainment category. So now if you completed a project within 2 years, you can submit that as well. So those of you plugged in from Orlando, hopefully that's good news for you all. All right. Thank you all for joining us today. See you all later.